Waking up a little bit, Valerie June?
Thank you.
Waking up?
Slowly but surely.
Yeah, it sounds good. We're here in WYEP, a live session with Valerie June, who's playing at the Carnegie Lecture Hall tonight, the War Hall bringing you in. And if you haven't been to the War Hall yet, you got to check it out, Valerie.
Right after this, I'm going to be doing like a tour through.
Yeah.
So, yeah. They're waiting.
You're
They're
going
gonna
to
be
enjoy
waiting
it.
for me.
You're
Yeah.
going to enjoy it. I want to talk to you about your voice, and I'm going to talk about two voices here. I'm going to talk about the writing voice and also the communication voice, the singing voice. Let's start with your singing voice. It is, I don't know how to describe it. It's like rare, it's delicate, but there's a strength underneath of it that feels like no matter what happens, you're going to pull through. I want to ask you, you mentioned having several voices, so let's talk about those voices.
Well, every time when I hear the songs coming to me, I'll be washing dishes or going to the grocery store or paying bills, whatever it is I'm doing. And a voice will come and it'll start singing me the songs. And voices, they're always different, you know. It's almost like the way that composers hear symphonies. They hear the strings and they know what that string section is supposed to do, and then they hear the horns in their mind and they know what they want that to do, and they write it all out. I hear it as voices. So as soon as I get one voice, 1,000 more voices start to come in, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of voices happening right now. And it just becomes so overwhelming inside because I'm excited about it because all of these voices are coming. Well, they're all different. Like, sometimes it'll be like a man's voice, so then I'll try to honor it by like singing on the lower part of my voice. Sometimes I'll hear a very high, like children's type of voice. So I try to honor it by finding that place in my voice where I can do something close to it. Or sometimes it's really angelic, and I'm like, oh my God, I have too much rasp to try to achieve that. You want me to achieve that? But I'd go for it, you know, give it a chance. So I'm just really honoring what I'm receiving and trying to use the voice in an instrumental way, which is how I was raised. My first 18 years of life were every Sunday morning, every Sunday evening, and every Wednesday going to Church of Christ where there wasn't a choir. Everyone just sang all together. And I was surrounded by 500 different voices every Sunday, all the time. So I'm used to hearing like a lot of voices around me. And I'd have experiences where I would be singing then and just feel tears come down my face because all the voices sound so beautiful and so different from each other. So that's one side of the voice. And then there's the other side of just exploring how a voice ages, so time's effect on a voice, which comes back to the title of the record, because one of my favorite voices would be like Stevie Nicks. I love her voice so much. And when she's younger, her voice is like, it's brighter. And as she sings Landslide in her older life, you can hear how her voice has changed, and it's so rich, and I love that. And I think sometimes singers get scared of their voices growing and changing, but I think every single day that I wake up, I have to find my voice. I have to find it every day because it changes every single day. It changes from the morning to the middle of the day to the evening, and I know it's going to change from now till 80. And Mavis has a really great voice that is just, timeless with the age on this. You can hear it. You can just hear it. And it sounds so good. Oh, yeah. I love it. She's one of the best people on the earth. I love her. And other voices that I loved would be like Nico's voice. The first time I heard her voice was like when I heard Nina Simone's voice the first time. I was like, oh, I don't like that. That's weird. But it took me experiencing life. And I always say with Nina, I had to become a woman to enjoy her voice. I had to feel what it means to be a woman, to love Nina Simone's voice. And I do. I love it. And I love Nico's voice because the places that these voices take me are places that I can't just go on earth, you know? I can't just walk into a Nico song, you know? But when I listen to her music, I can go there. And I feel like that's what happens to me when I get songs. They take me to a place. And I try to share that place with you, you know, other worlds.
So you're making a good argument for paying attention to older singers.
Yeah.
And, and I'm sure when you listen to your voice as something you recorded years ago, I am sure there's something that you learn about yourself just from hearing that, because you wouldn't possibly approach that in the same way. You couldn't.
That is one of the hardest things to do, to listen to my voice when I was like 15 or 16, and to hear me now, it's like, whoa, years. Like, it's like a flashback. You're watching a show, and then they go back through a memory, and I see all of these memories, and I'm like, no, I'm not ready for that. So, yeah, that can be an emotional moment, to hear. Like, say, for example, this song, Just in Time, that I just played, is one of the oldest songs. Like, I wrote it when I was about 22, 23, and I was first learning to play the guitar. And that's the thing about this record, too. All the songs occur over the course of a decade. I write as I'm doing other things. I never sit down and just say, I'm going to write a song about bananas today. So they come to me, and I write them. So I had about 100 songs, and I gave them to the producer, Matt Marinelli, and I was like, okay, you asked me to give you all my songs, here you go. And he listened through them, and he made a list of 20 that he loved, and I made a list of 20 that I loved. And some were old, and some were new. Some I'd written while I was on the road with Pushing Against the Stone, I mean, I played God's Soul for my friend Jimmy, who lives here. But I wrote that on the road, and I came right into his house and was like, listen to this new song, So that kind of thing happens when you honor the song. And Leonard Cohen's one of my favorite songwriters. He said, a good song can take years to write. And that's because they don't always come all at once. Sometimes I'll be receiving one part, and then, I just can't get any more. I don't hear anymore, no more is coming. And then years later, I'll sit down, and I'll have the other side of it. And it's crazy. I love it when that happens. I'm like, oh, yeah, there you are. You just needed a little bit of lifetime to come out. So time has its hands on it all.
If you've just tuned into WYEP, this is Valerie June. The new album is coming out in the beginning of March, The Order of Time. And I guess seeing you is a little bit like seeing a one-woman band with all these voices that have contributed to what happens up there on stage. Can you do another song for us, please?
For sure.